Saucy Bites.
Hey, what's going on? It's Brian. I'm here in the garage today, and I'm going to be taking this non-working starter out of my Troy-Bilt 2410 snowblower and replacing it with a new one that I found on eBay. I'll put the part number in the description below of this video, but this is a pretty straightforward repair. I was able to do it by myself. I'm not really the most mechanically inclined, so if I can do it, you can do it too. So let's get started. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a Troy-Bilt Storm 2410. This is a 24-inch snowblower, and the issue that we're going to be fixing is that the electric starter is not currently working anymore. So what we're going to do is walk through the process of removing the non-working starter and replacing it with a replacement part. So to show what the problem actually is, what I'm going to do is take an extension cord, and I'm going to plug it in on the plug for the starter itself. Okay, so that's now plugged in, and I'm going to go ahead and push the starter button. You'll see that there's no turnover or anything happening at all. So I'm pretty positive this starter is just completely dead. I can tell you that in the past I have tried banging this with a hammer to see if I can get it to resolve, but it doesn't do anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace the entire starter. So a few tools that you're going to want to grab will be a Phillips head screwdriver, a pair of snips. In my case, I'm using my impact driver, and I have a 5/16 impact socket on there. So to begin, I'm going to remove these two screws from the plug assembly. Now they're fairly long, so make sure you set these aside so that you don't lose them, because I'm pretty positive the new starter does not come with the replacement hardware. So I'm just going to remove the bottom one as well, and that one has been removed as well. So now you can see this assembly is just kind of free floating. You'll notice that there's a tie wrap here. You may not have a tie wrap, but in my case, I do have a tie wrap. So I'm going to use my snips to cut this tie wrap. I believe this cable is for some kind of a light accessory to put on the snowblower, because this does not have a light, but I do not use this. So you'll also want to make sure that you have a replacement tie wrap so that you can put the new one back on once you put this all back together again. So I'm going to go ahead and snip the tie wrap, and you'll see that that is now free. And you just move your plug assembly over to the right there. Okay, next we're going to use our 5/16 socket, and we're going to remove this bolt on the top, and then there's a matching one on the bottom. Not sure how well you can see that. This is future me, and I realized in post-editing that you are not able to see the bottom bolt, so I've highlighted it here with the yellow circle. So remove those two bolts. Okay, bolt number one. Set that aside as well, and then remove the bottom one. Just need a little extra force, but I got that one out as well. And you'll see now that the starter assembly is basically moving fairly freely. So next what we're going to do is physically take this off and take a look and make sure everything looks okay, and then we'll start putting the new one on. Jiggle it a little bit, and we'll see that the assembly has now come off. Okay, next what I want to do is I want to pull on the pull cord and check to see if there's any broken or missing teeth on this gear. So just slowly pull, and you'll notice that you can see all the teeth spinning around. So just make sure that none of them are visibly broken or damaged. Okay, this looks like it's in good shape. So now that we have the old starter off, one of the things that we can do is just check and see if maybe something was gummed up or bound up while it was in the snowblower. So if we turn it over, this is what we're looking at right here. And this just seems really loose, to be totally honest with you. So I'm not really sure. I'm not overly technical when it comes to starters, but on the new unit, this is not entirely loose like this. But at a minimum, I should be able to plug this into the power like we had before. And then when I push the button, there should be some type of a starting response. And we'll see that there's nothing happening. So we'll take a look at the new one and make sure that that's working before we go through the effort of putting it back on. Okay, so here's the new unit. Much cleaner, as you can see. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay this down. And then I'm going to plug in the power into the power box here. I'm going to push the button gently. And we'll see that we're definitely getting it started. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the snowblower, and then we'll test starting it up. So to put the new unit back on, what we're going to do is just the reverse of what we did to take it off. We're going to line up the holes on the new starter with these holes here. And we're going to put these bolts back in and tighten them up. Okay, so that feels like it's in the right spot. I just kind of fit it in place here. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in the top bolt and just lightly hand tighten it to get it in there a little bit. And then I'll come around to the other side. And do the same in the bottom hole. Okay, that bottom one doesn't seem to be catching very well, so I'm going to try to tighten it a little bit. Okay, so that tightened right up. So I'll go ahead and do the top one as well. Okay, that appears as though it's on there nice and solid now. So now we'll reattach the plug box back with the two screws. Okay, so I got my two really long screws. So I'm going to just take the plug box and I'm going to feed screws through, top and bottom, and then just line them up with their respective holes and start hand tightening them in, and then finish off with the Phillips head screwdriver. And again, they are quite long, so you may think it's not screwing in properly, but it's just long. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to reattach with a tie wrap this little accessory cable or plug that we took off at the beginning. Now I will say in this replacement part, it does appear as though the actual plug cable for the starter itself is much longer than the one I had previously. So there is quite a bit of excess here, but as you can see, it came with tie wraps already. So I'm going to go ahead and just snug down that tie wrap, and I'll go ahead and cut it with my snips. And now our new starter has been successfully installed onto the snowblower. I don't know if this little hook here is to kind of hold this cabling, but I did just kind of shape that so that it does hold. I'd have to go back and look and see what it looked like before I took the old one off. So as you can see, it looks like you just flip up that bundle of cable and use this little bendable hook to hold it in place. So now the final test will be to plug the plug in. For this test, I've removed the key so that it doesn't actually start because my garage is all closed up right now. But I want to just make sure that the starter is actually trying to turn over the actual engine of the snowblower itself. So we'll go ahead and push our power button. Sounds good to me. Let's throw some fresh, clean gas in this baby and see if we can get it started up. Okay, so I've gone ahead and put the key back in. I have it choked, have the throttle set. Going to prime it a few times. And let's give this puppy a try. Boom! And that's just because I only have a little bit of gas in there, but as you can see, the starter actually started up. The snowblower didn't have to pull the string, saving my shoulders this winter. So as you saw in this video, this was a fairly simple repair. It took me probably about 15 to 20 minutes, not including the time to stage the camera at certain angles to make recording this helpful for you. But about 15 to 20 minutes, and that's for someone who's not really technically inclined. So as I said at the beginning of the video, if I can do it, you can do it too. If you found this content helpful, please click like and subscribe.
Rossi Bites.